Well, hello and welcome along. I am really excited today because I'm going to be showing you something that doesn't seem to be too well known about, but something that I use on my stream, and I keep being asked by everybody, how are you doing that? This is how can your viewers control your stream. So what does that look like? Exactly. Well, let me show you some examples. So the way that I use this is that viewers can either spend channel points to redeem certain things, such as a sausage party or a tickle fingers. It's all pretty weird, but bear with me. You can also use commands. So my subscribers and my VIPs have a series of commands that only they can type into chat, and it will trigger all kinds of madness and shenanigans on my stream. So this all happens without me doing anything. I don't have to hit a button on a stream deck or anything like that. It just happens because of this amazing tool that we have found that you can put on your stream. So if you want to take your stream up to the next level, that's what we're going to be looking at today. Now, everything I'm going to go through today is only available on PC, and you need two crucial pieces of software to make this work. One of them is OBS. Now, it needs to be OBS Studio. You don't want to be using Streamlabs OBS. So if you're using that, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work for you. But if you're using OBS Studio, then you're good to go. The next thing that you need is something called LIORANBOARD. And this is going to be what we program all of our animations or images or whatever we want to happen on the stream to make these things happen based on whatever happens in the channel. So it could be that somebody cheers bits and a certain amount of bits makes money rain down everywhere around you. Or it might be you get a raid on the channel and so you have "This is Sparta" flying across the screen. There is no limit to what you can do, just your imagination. So if you're not yet using OBS Studio, now would probably be a really good time to consider switching to it. So I'll let you just go do that now. And then the next thing you'll also need to do is download the OBS WebSocket plugin. Now, don't worry, I know this sounds really confusing, but it's basically just a tool that allows the LIORANBOARD to communicate with OBS. So it's really simple. Don't worry, I will put all of the links for everything that you need down in the description, so you won't be able to go too far wrong. So once you've downloaded all of those things, you'll notice that specifically the LIORANBOARD, there's actually a zip file. And when you open up that zip file, there's 3 files in there. Now, the only one you need to worry about is the receiver. The other two are actually for the mobile app, and I'm not covering that today. The app is only for Android, and I'm an iPhone person, so we're not going to look at that one today. But you don't need the app to make any of this work. We just need that receiver. Now, when you first open the LIORANBOARD, you're going to need to connect it to that OBS receiver so that we can have the two talking to each other. So the first thing you'll see when you come in is likely this, which is going to ask you for an OBS WebSocket port, and you'll need to enter that in here. Now, I didn't actually need to change anything in here. I could just choose accept, but for if any reason that happens to be blank, here's how you find out what those numbers are. So go into OBS, move up to the top, go to Tools and choose WebSocket Server Settings. Within here, you'll be able to find them details. So you just need to copy those into the LIORANBOARD app. So once you've copied over those settings, if you need to, or if they're already populated, you can probably leave it as it is. Just make sure that these two items here are checked. So you want this to automatically connect to OBS each time you boot it up, and you want it to automatically connect to Twitch as well each time you start it up. Otherwise, what you'll have to do is to log into each of them every time you start it, and that's just going to be a bit of a pain. So make sure that is set there. Also make sure that your frames per second is set to match whatever you're streaming in. Now, once you've done that, the next thing you need to do is actually to come down to these 3 areas here. Now, for me, they're all grayed out because they're already set up, but you just want to work from top to bottom down. So the first thing you want to do is click the area where it says connect to OBS. Once it goes from black to gray, that means you're then connected. So the next thing you'll want to do is connect it to your Twitch account. So to do this, just again, click here, and you'll see there is a URL in this area. So you just need to choose open URL and then follow the on-screen prompts to log into Twitch. And then when you come back, you should have this little green tick here saying that you're connected. So what you need to do is go into that zip folder that you should have unzipped for the LIORANBOARD and find the TSL transmitter. So we need to add this as a browser source to your OBS. It doesn't matter where you put this, You can create a scene somewhere that you're never going to use. It can be just hidden away. It's not actually going to show anything. This is just going to make sure that everything links together and is actually going to trigger in your OBS. So to add that as a browser source, we just need to come into sources on any of your scenes, choose the plus, select browser, and from here, you just need to go and link that in. So you can see I already have one, which is LIORANBOARD, and we can now see that that is displayed there. So like I said, you don't have to have this displayed. You can actually just go and turn that off, but as long as it is just in there somewhere, doesn't matter. So once you've done that, when you come back to the receiver, all of these 3 items here should now be grayed out. If they're not, that means it isn't connected. So you need to go back and repeat the steps again and just make sure that it is all grayed like this. But if you followed everything that I've said, it should be no problem. Something that I came across was that I didn't fully unzip the folder, and that caused an issue as to where I was reading the information from when I made that browser source. So just make sure that you do actually unzip the folder before you start doing any of this. So now that we're all connected, the only thing left to do is to start building our Stream Deck. So if you're familiar with Stream Deck, you know, it's a load of buttons which have linked commands that then can make things happen on your stream. This works pretty similar. So when we have a look in here, we can kind of scroll through some existing decks. So for example, we have one here that is called Example of Scene Control. So you can see hide a camera, mute a mic, intro scenes, etc. But what we're doing today is we're not using it in that way, although you absolutely could do. What we're going to do is we're going to create a new deck. And when you do that, you get an item down at the bottom of which you can click into, and it's going to be completely blank. So you can design in here what you want your deck to look like. Now, the way that I tend to set this up is because I'm not using this as buttons that I push on a Stream Deck or on a mobile device. I just have these running in the background automatically. I can just fill all of these items here with different animations, different commands, different things that I want to happen live on my stream. There is actually a new animation that I want to add to my stream, and that is to have an animation of a Chocobo from Final Fantasy VII bouncing across my stream. And I want to link that to when a viewer does a command where it says Chocobo, and they can do that. Potentially I could link it to channel points as well, so I'll show you how we would do both of those. So the first thing we need to do is choose a box on here, doesn't matter which one, we just select create new button and then give it a name, and we'll call it Chocobo command. And there we go. And if we right click on it again, you get a few options in here. Things like change the color of the button, change the text, or add an image. So in this case, it only makes sense that the image that we add is, of course, a wonderful Chocobo. So the next thing that we need to do, remember this is going to be the one that somebody types a command into our chat, and that will make the animation happen. We just need to come into add commands, and within here, I just need to click this little plus right up at the top. Now, when you do that, it gives you some options here on the left-hand side. By default, that's going to be set to scene switch. But what we can do in this case is we can choose to turn a source on and leave it on for a set period of time, and then turn it off again. So this is the way that I manage having my various animations that pop up on the stream. So the next thing that we're going to do is choose source change visibility. Now, my animation needs to exist in OBS on a scene. So in my OBS, I have a scene where I have all of my animations. So I've created a scene entirely just for any animations. I have 2 separate ones actually. One that is just for things that appear on my camera, so kind of like my face cam. And then the other ones are ones that appear on the full game screen. So you can make multiple ones if you need things to happen in different areas. It's up to you. You can be really, really creative with this. But I'm going to just show you how I've got it set up. So you can see here, I have a scene called full screen GIFs. If I choose this, I can then pick which of the items within there is going to be toggled on and then toggled off again. So essentially displayed and then hidden. So they're always there kind of running in the background, but this is going to allow me to then choose to show it on the stream and then take it away again. You can see I've already created in OBS all of my items in here. If you have ever been on my stream, you will recognize all of these commands. In fact, there's a few in there that you haven't seen yet. But we're going to choose the new one, which is Chocobo. And now the first thing that we need to tell it to do is that when the command is triggered, it's going to go from being hidden to visible. So in here, we will say true. And then we need to say in this bit here, is there any delay? This is milliseconds. And initially, when it is triggered, I don't want there to be a delay. I want it to happen straight away. So then what we need to do is go in and duplicate exactly what we've just done. Source change visibility once again. The same screen, for me, the full screen GIFs. Then choose my Chocobo. And this time choose false. But now we want to make sure that we set a delay in here for as many milliseconds as we want it to remain on the screen. So I'm gonna say maybe that is like 10 seconds. I think that might be a bit too long, but we'll leave it at that for now. You might need to kind of play with the duration. So some of mine are like 20 seconds long. It depends on how big the animation is. And okay, we can click done. That's all well and good. We've now linked our animation in OBS to this area, but how do we then make it so that when we trigger something in Twitch, it links to this? So we need to right click again and choose add Twitch triggers. Now you've got an option up here at the top where you can add it to the request queue. And that means that each of them will join a queue before the next one plays. I would recommend doing this, having recently had a naughty little subscriber of mine spamming it to the point of where my stream looked like it was going to fall over. But if you tick add to request queue, it will prevent that from happening. So it will still play, but it will just be in the queue. Go to the little plus here and you can see you can choose all kinds of things. If somebody cheered a number of bits, for example, you could say between 1 bit and 1,000 bits, this would then trigger. You could say that if you got a tier 1 sub, prime sub, gifted subs and so on, that would then trigger this. Now just note that you can only select, and it does give you a warning, 1 at a time. So if you wanted this particular animation to trigger every single time any sub happened, you would essentially have to add extra ones here and have 1 for tier 1, 1 for tier 2, 1 for tier 3, and so on. If we want to get rid of any of them, we can just get rid of it like that, super easy. But in this case, what we want to happen is that a chat message is going to do this for us. So if I choose the chat message, I can say, is it going to be case sensitive and who exactly can trigger this? I tend to not have case sensitive on. I tend to take that off. So in this case, I'm going to say, I want the command to be the exclamation mark and Chocobo, and they can do that in capitals. They can do it in lowercase because I've taken off that case sensitive. You could leave it on if you wanted to, but just keep it in mind. It'll need to be exact if you're doing that. And then we can choose who can actually do that. So we can link it to a role. So it could be that only VIPs can do that, or only mods, only the broadcaster. So if you select only the broadcaster, then nobody else can use that. Now you can select multiple like this. Now just keep in mind, if somebody is, for example, a mod, a subscriber, and also a founder of your channel, so has the first badge, if they do this, it will trigger 3 times. What I would suggest is that you actually don't do it in this way. Again, if you have multiple iterations of this and you want multiple people to be able to trigger this, add a separate line in here and repeat it exactly the same, Chocobo, and choose sub, for example. So in my case, I want this to be something that subscribers can do. So anybody who subscribes to me will then be able to use this command going forward whenever they please. Now in my example, I also want to be able to have people trigger this from using channel points. So you'll have noticed there was another option in here which said point redeem. So we need to choose this one. And what's super important at this point is that the redemption name of the points is exactly the same name as that channel point item in your Twitch. So make sure if there is any uppercase in there, it just has to be case sensitive. Make sure it's exact. Literally, you might want to go and copy and paste it in if you've got something weird in there. In this case, mine is just a capital C and Chocobo. So that one is super simple. Now, if you haven't yet created your channel point reward that will display, you'll need to go do that before that is going to work. So to do that, you will need to go to your creator dashboard within Twitch. And once you're in there, just navigate your way down to community and to channel points. Now within here, you can see an item which says manage rewards and challenges. And down here, when we have a look, you can see there's lots and lots of different things. You'll probably find the default ones by Twitch, but you'll want to create your own. So you can see my new ones here are a sausage party and tickle fingers. I'm basically just going to create another one of those. So if you scroll down a little bit, you can see add new custom reward. And within here, this is where the name must match exactly what we've just typed into the Lioran board. So it was Chocobo. And you can see I've already spelt it wrong, so we need to fix that or it won't work. And you can give it a description, and this will show when somebody hovers over that as to exactly what it's going to do. So you'll also need to assign a channel point cost for this. It's up to you, whatever they are. Twitch will kind of give you an idea. So you can see here mine is saying that my viewers earn 220 points an hour on average. Think about how long you want someone to be watching your stream for before they actually get to use these. So in this case, I'm going to put 2,000 points to be able to then trigger this one. You can add a reward icon if you want, but you will need to upload them in these different dimensions. Bit of a faff, but actually does add a nice little touch. So I would probably take the time to do that. I don't have one ready, so I'm just going to leave it as default for now. I'll definitely update that later though. You can choose whether you want to skip reward requests queue. So if you were to turn that one on, it wouldn't join the queue, it would just trigger straight away. You can also choose whether you want to limit the redemptions per stream. If you want to make this really, really special, you might say, actually, I only want this to happen like twice in any one stream. If it's used, then nobody else can use it and it will not let somebody redeem that. That's actually a really good one if you are wanting to limit the amount of, say, ads. If you have people spamming things like hydrate, which I've seen a lot, you could actually set a limit redemption per stream on there so that that can't get out of hand. In this case, we're going to leave it off because we just want to be punished apparently. So we've got our Chocobo there and we can see it's going to cost us our 2,000 Sosigs. Sosigs are my channel points, by the way, if you didn't know. So once that is done, this is pretty much set up. The only thing that we need to do now is to make sure that our animation is working within OBS and this will start to trigger. So in my example here, I have a scene which contains all of my on-screen GIFs and all of my on-cam GIFs. If you're having something animated, you'll want a GIF that has a transparent background. You may potentially need to luma key or chroma key out a background if it isn't transparent. If you want to see a video on how to add transparency to various images and animations, let me know because I can show you how to do that too. But in this case, what we would want to do is remember we have asked LIORANBOARD to toggle a source on and off. So what we need to do in this case is add our source, which remember it's something that you will have saved locally. So it will be a media source. For an example, we will set up my Chocobo again. We'll call it Chocobo 2 just so you can see how we would actually go about setting this up and choose OK. And within here, what you need to check is local file and then browse for your Chocobo file. So in this case, I have this little Chocobo GIF. I want it to loop, so I want it to keep playing again and again and again. And I can choose OK. So now we can see my animated little Chocobo up here. So I could just have him popping up being absolutely massive and being like, whoa, yo, I'm here. What I'm going to do now to make that background transparent is something really simple. I'm going to go to the filters. I'm going to go to effect filters and I'm going to choose the option that is luma key and choose OK. And within here, I just want to do enough so that the black is going to disappear. So you just want to play with each of these items until that is the case. So I think this one here, can you see how it's all gone grey? But look in the background how there's still flicks of black going on. So we'll just take that up a little bit further so that's tidy. What we don't want to do is take it up too far because then he starts to disappear and we don't want that. So we want to take it as little as possible just so that we don't have any of that weird stuff going on in the background. And that looks pretty good to me. So the next thing that we need to do is remember that we told LIORANBOARD that we want it to toggle on and then toggle off. So it's really important that at this point, wherever your source is within your scene, that you go and hide it so it's gone. So the only way that's going to come back now is if we click this and toggle the source on, or if one of our users triggers it in a command. So it's quite easy to test that this is working. First of all, what we need to do is go to LIORANBOARD and make sure that we click done, because at this point we've made those changes and set up all those triggers, but we haven't confirmed those changes. So select done so that it comes back to this main screen here. So now, because I've got a Stream Elements add-on, I can actually just go in and start typing my commands into the chat at the top here. What you could do is go open up your chat in your Twitch and literally just type the commands into the chat. But let's just have a look down here. We should see we have a new Chocobo, so we can trigger this one and just make sure that it's working. So if we head over to what would be a game scene, we can now use our chat to try and redeem those points, and you can see that now we have our chocobos bouncing nicely across our screen. Now I did actually add some extra animation to this to make them kind of slide across, but you see that lasted the 10 seconds and then it disappeared. But what we can also do is we can type our chat command and just make sure that if we type in chocobo, that also triggers it. And there we go. I've typed that in, I've hit enter, and that is now triggering the animation. So you can of course go absolutely bonkers with this. The only limitation, as I said at the beginning, is your imagination. So have a blast with it and have some fun. And the thing is, this will make you really, really stand out on Twitch if you get a bit creative with it. So that is it. I hope that you found this video super useful, and I hope that you're gonna maybe put some of these into your stream. I would really, really like to see what kind of things you can come up with. I know that this is just the beginning of what you can do, but I wanted to keep this first tutorial really, really basic, as there is some really crazy stuff that you can do with all of the different options in there. But so many people have been asking me, how do I get my animations to happen on the stream? So I just wanted to share that with you today so that you can maybe go try for yourself. Do let me know down in the comments if this is something that you're going to go have a go at. I would love to see what you come up with. If you do have any questions about anything that we've been through today, be sure to join my Discord. I will link that down below, where you can come and ask as many questions as you like, or just drop into my Twitch stream and you can find me on there, and I'm happy to answer any questions on there as well. If you want to talk to me directly, that is no problem at all. So if you've made it this far, well done, and thanks for watching. This was a pretty in-depth one, so go grab yourself a well-deserved G&T, root beer, cream soda, cup of tea, whatever your poison. Go enjoy that, you've earned it, and I'll see you in the next one. Can I use you on you? Oh, get away! Stamp on it! Stamp on it! Stamp on it! Oh! Did we do it? Did we do it? Did we do it? Did we do it?